You know, it's hard for us to understand today that 2 centuries ago, Americans across this country would often settle their differences by standing a few paces apart and firing pistols at each other. They did it everywhere, and they even did it here. And when they did it in the middle of the Savannah River. Yes, as best we can tell, the Augusta dueling grounds were stuck conveniently on what used to be a sandbar in the middle of the Savannah River. Why? Because dueling was illegal, and sandbars in rivers that straddled state lines made police jurisdiction a problem. Almost every place in the country had its own dueling grounds, a place where gentlemen could settle their differences. Most of us know that Alexander Hamilton, the patriot, not the Broadway character, died when shot in a duel by Aaron Burr, one-time Vice President of the United States. Andrew Jackson, who became president, fought so many duels they couldn't keep count of them. He wasn't a great shot, historians say, but he was a good target, wounded seriously several times. He survived. If they call you Old Hickory, you must be pretty tough. One of the most publicized local duels involved George Crawford, a man also known as being the governor of Georgia, a U.S. congressman, and the future U.S. Secretary of War. He was also a pretty good pistol shot. When Crawford read an anonymous letter to the editor published in the Augusta Chronicle criticizing his father, he demanded to know who wrote it. The newspaper refused to say, but another local lawyer, Thomas Burnside, told Crawford it was him. A duel was scheduled. They skipped the local dueling ground and traveled by train across the state to Alabama. That's where Crawford shot and killed Burnside, and for the rest of his life, quietly paid for the education of Burnside's children. Of course, the most famous duel in these parts was probably the last. It was in 1875, a few weeks before Christmas. It involved Charles Tilley and George Ratcliffe. Family interviews, local legend, and even newspaper accounts laid it out this way. Mary Clark DeLagle was a 34-year-old widow, and Mr. Tilley was her friend. George Ratcliffe began to tell people he was more than that. Tilley defended the widow's honor. He demanded Ratcliffe reveal who told him about her love life. Ratcliffe refused, and Tilley challenged him to a duel. To the dueling grounds they went with their Navy Colt pistols. There was even a coin toss to decide the particulars, and Tilley won. He got to set the rules for when they would fire. Tilley should have quit when he won the coin flip. Harris shot him, and he died the next day. On his deathbed, he told the doctor he'd do it all again for the widow DeLagle. Augusta's dueling tradition apparently died with him. The newspapers praised him as a gentleman and mourned his loss. Ratcliffe might have won the duel, but he seems to have lost community support. He's mentioned again a few months later in a bankruptcy petition, and then he fades into history, just like dueling.